Hi, and welcome to the South Jersey Pulse. My name is Charlie Nussbaum, and I'm the president of the Econ Society. Today with us we have Professor Albano. She's been in the area for approximately 20 years, correct? Working in the tourism industry. And we wanted to kind of get her take on what's going on in Atlantic City and how that's going to affect the rest of tourism in the South Jersey area. So Professor Albano, thank you for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
And like I said, you've been here for approximately 20-some years?
So when you say here, not at Stockton, but in the hospitality and tourism industry,
right.
I have over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do I live here, I've worked here and I teach here. So.
And how have, over that period of time, how have you seen the tourism industry in South Jersey as a whole evolve and expand and change during your tenure?
It's been an interesting 20 years to say the least, but I have I came here after I graduated undergraduate to the hospitality industry to work in the Atlantic City casino industry. And at that time, Atlantic City and Las Vegas were the only two gaming jurisdictions in the country. So to say how has that changed minimally over the 20 years is lots of competition, lots of growth, and now we see just the opposite. A decrease in the size and scope of the industry. But Atlantic City in particular and South Jersey in particular has changed because of that, because of the growth, because of the increase in population, the need for workers, and then additional business and industry to support those workers, the size of government, the size of education. So we've seen a lot of growth and expansion, and now unfortunately we're seeing a decrease in that industry as well.
Right. So compared to the rest of South Jersey, especially with what's going on in Atlantic City, I think it's important to see, how it compares with the other shore towns and the other tourism hotspots in the area. So, how do you think it compares? Do you think the demographics that go visit Atlantic City are the same? Do you think its infrastructure is the same?
So I think the question was specific to how does Atlantic City tourism compare to other South Jersey tourism, and the most clear answer is gaming. I mean, we are the only gaming jurisdiction and destination in New Jersey, so certainly South Jersey and Atlantic City is going to differ in that way. So otherwise, it's a coast, and so the shore towns are very seasonal, so they're very similar for the most part. They're very seasonal. They attract a seasonal customer base, a seasonal residential base, but the piece that Atlantic City has to offer is certainly casino gaming. And with that casino gaming and the number of hotels and the number of restaurants and the numbers of businesses and industry, including retail, that expands the size and scope of certainly just South Jersey and what the gaming industry has to offer as far as a tourism destination, which is very different from shore towns, seasonal destinations.
Right. And a lot of people also make the comparison between Las Vegas and Atlantic City. They're both heavily, as you said, based on the gaming industry.
Sure.
Do you think those comparisons are warranted, or
no? My own personal opinion, no. I've never liked the comparison. Atlantic City is a city. It started out and has always been a residential community component. Las Vegas started out as a desert. They had basically a blank slate and a canvas to work on and expand and grow. And Atlantic City did not have that same advantage. Las Vegas in size and scope is not comparable to the 36 by 6 blocks that we have as a tourism destination in Atlantic City. And so the comparison is that they are both gaming and tourism destinations, and they offer things in addition to gaming, including entertainment and nightlife and accommodations. But beyond that, I've never liked the comparison.
So then I would assume that you would think Atlantic City should try to develop in its own way, and not strictly follow, the business model of Las Vegas.
You had asked that question about the development plan, the Las Vegas development plan. I'm unfamiliar with the Las Vegas development plan per se, but I think that we have a very unique destination, and I do believe that we need to cater and focus on the uniqueness of our destination and not continually try to maybe be something that we're not, the size and scope of the market. I mean, one of the unique factors of Atlantic City is our physical location and proximity to a major portion of the East Coast from a driving standpoint, and Las Vegas doesn't boast that same ability. Most people have to take a plane to Las Vegas,
Right.
and so their time there is longer, and therefore the structure and design of their trip is often very different than someone that could come spend an overnight or 2 days in an Atlantic City market, but come more frequently. And so that uniqueness is something that Atlantic City has to capitalize on.
Right. And I know that there's some other professors on campus here that have recently done research in Atlantic City and how to maybe fix some of the problems that are going on. And one thing that always pops up is prostitution. People, look at Amsterdam as an example. They legalized prostitution and it works for them. Why can't we bring that to Atlantic City to help, bolster its economy and, stand it back up on its own 2 feet again? Do you think that that's a viable solution, or?
So solution, I do not personally feel that it's a solution. Would I discount that it could be one of many moving parts that could contribute to an overall tourism economy? It's not new. As you said, you mentioned Amsterdam and certainly Las Vegas, back to the comparison. So it's not new. I am not opposed to it, and honestly, the reasons I am not opposed to it is because it would be better for the prostitutes, quite frankly, to legalize and regulate something that unfortunately is very negative and could be very hurtful and harmful to that population. So from that personal perspective, that is why I would be for it. I think back to some of Atlantic City's challenges, I'm not sure we're clear on the mission of what we want to do. And one of the things I wanted to mention is that when we study tourism, there are many factors, but the key components are the host community, in our case, which would be Atlantic City. It would be the businesses that are involved in the tourism. It would be the government, and it would certainly be the tourists themselves. And so until all 4 of those factions are together with a clear defined mission and set of goals to reach the ultimate goal, which is a successful tourism destination, personally I think therein lies our problem. So if prostitution and the legalization of fit into that model that we were all cohesive in achieving, then it could certainly be considered. But until then, by no means do I see it as a solution.
Right. And you touched on this a little bit already as well. But what do you think South Jersey has that other tourism hotspots in the country don't? What sets us apart?
You specified South Jersey, and I tend to just look at New Jersey in general, but I can certainly focus on South Jersey. I mean, New Jersey in general is the coastline. I mean, we have 130 miles of beachfront, and you can travel a lot of places in the United States of America and abroad, quite frankly, and not be on or at a beach.
Right.
So, quite frankly, that's certainly unique. As I mentioned before, our accessibility, we're very accessible to a massive population of this country by vehicle. And I think that's something that unique, that sets us apart. And then we have a diversity of offerings in South Jersey in particular. We're deep rooted in history in South Jersey and New Jersey in general. We're certainly home to the Garden State, that, which is over 9,000 farms. We have an agricultural base here as well. We have, our roots are from the Native Americans, so we have history as part of culture. And I think we have a diverse set of offerings to offer people as a destination unique to other tourism destinations. So that's my opinion on what sets us apart for sure.
So then, I guess, in conclusion, looking ahead, what do we as a community, and as a state for that matter, as you mentioned, need to do, and what do we need to invest in to foster our tourism industry in the next 10, 20, 30 years?
I like the question when you ask invest, and I think when most people hear the word investment, they think of something tangible, a building or a hotel or a restaurant. But my opinion is that the investment needs to be in those relationships that I mentioned to you earlier. Foster the relationships and communication between those entities that would make the tourism product, both attracting and hosting visitors and tourists, make those relationships strong and cohesive and clear. And I think our problems, quite frankly, have lied in the fact that those relationships are not strong.
Right. Well, thank you for being with
My
us.
pleasure.
And I hope we get to speak with you again.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.